Hello, welcome. Thank you for coming. I want to tell you about empathy for home educators. And this is also for you if you are doing self directed learning with kids and young people. This is for you. This is empathy for you and empathy for me. I've been a home educator since 2014, and this is something that I've needed and benefited from so much. And now I'm able to share it. Maybe you want to know a little bit more about what happens in the sessions. So here we go. When you arrive, we will welcome each other, arrive, settle, and there'll be a check-in question. How are you feeling and what brings you here? Are often the check-in questions. So this listening space will have a few ideas which I will share and teach at the beginning, and then we'll break into groups of 3 and listen to each other. We'll all get a turn to listen and we'll all get a turn to speak. This is inviting you to just speak about 1 or 2 recent things. You have 10 minutes to be heard, and it's amazing what being heard for 10 minutes can do. We ask that the space be confidential, that you don't speak about it outside afterwards. Everything is optional. So if there's anything that I invite you to do and it's all an invitation and it doesn't resonate for you, please use your choice and your freedom to decide what you want to do. We welcome feedback and we love to hear if there was anything disconnecting or glorious that you want to let us know about. Stick to the guidelines. They're really simple and they support us to support each other, to feel our feelings and move through them. So every Monday evening from 7:30 till 9, we get together at the moment and we might explore different things. So this session, we're going to look at feelings, introduce the idea of universal human needs, which is key to this practice and has been a total game changer for me with my life. The different ways that we listen in the listening space, and then we practice empathic listening together. So what's the context? Where does this come from? Why do we listen in this particular way? Obviously, there are loads of different ways of listening and supporting each other. This comes from nonviolent communication. Funny name. Nonviolent communication was developed by Marshall Rosenberg in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And it comes from the development of understandings around empathy. And it's a communication practice, but it's really a consciousness and a way of paying attention to what's going on inside us and between us and with other people. And it's a tool for positive change. You might begin to see how that might work because it's a slight invitation to shift the way we feel and the way we think and the way we talk about our feelings and relationships. With this key idea underlining everything that we think and do in interaction is this idea of universal human needs. So when I learned the idea that everything that everyone does is trying to meet a need, rather than some people are bad or evil or right or wrong, the people that we're in relationship with day to day and with ourselves, we can really benefit from finding out what needs is your behavior meeting? What needs are our kids' behaviors meeting, seeking to meet? So yeah, cooperation, to matter, to be seen, to be heard. And we start to slightly shift as we start to try to notice those things inside us and in other people. And doing this can create a lot more cooperation. And globally, it can create peace. And nonviolent communication is used in international negotiations and really highly valued. So understanding each other at the level of needs creates connection. And it has done that in my life in a way that I could never have imagined, that connections can come from situations that are initially a conflict when we're able to speak about our feelings and tune into and talk about our needs and make requests. Yeah, and it says here that the similarities between us outweigh the differences. That's why the universal human needs. Everybody shares the same needs. So we'll have a little bit of arriving, feeling into our bodies. Why is that? So that our brains, the different parts of our brains, the part that's slightly agitated and on edge and on alert can calm down. And the part that's able to think more clearly is able to activate. And some of the ways that we do that can be noticing your breathing and noticing your surroundings, or maybe a little bit of a gentle self-hug. It's really simple, and there's some really in-depth research and referring to this. Polyvagal theory is one of them. And being together, that we're mammals, we're designed to interact with each other, we're designed for cooperation. And so this is a practice of co-regulation. We begin to calm in relationship with each other and hear ourselves and hear each other. This really can be very healing. So we do a little bit of meditation, maybe paying attention to our feet on the ground, noticing breathing. It's in the chest, in the belly, just noticing breathing. Your body in the chair, perhaps feeling the hands from the inside out. Noticing any noises in the environment, noises that are close, noises that are further away. Noticing colors around. Bodily sensations. We're here, we have our bodies. They might be beginning to communicate with us and tell us some things about how we're doing. So here we are, we've arrived, we're coming into presence together. Speaking of the body, we might not always be able to name the feelings that we have. And sometimes we can name the sensations that we have. Here's a map of the body with some ideas. It's not always easy to reach for the right word. In fact, I think feelings words are an attempt to give language to the sensations that we have in our bodies, and thus understand them ourselves and communicate with each other. Because as I said, we are interconnected. Our experience is always relating to other people. So being able to talk about them can really help. So what's happening inside your feet, your legs, in your belly, in your back, giving you information. Somebody might have said to you when you were younger, oh, you've got a tummy ache, are you worried about something? Headaches sometimes come when we're thinking, overthinking, or thinking a lot. So just making really clear that connection between the body and the mind and the feelings and relationships. We're embodied. And then nonviolent communication allows us to give language to our experience and hear a load of different words that we might use to connect with ourselves and find out what's happening. Overwhelmed, it might be very helpful to name that sometimes. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Or I'm feeling calm. I'm feeling comfortable and centered. Or perhaps at some point you're going to want to tell somebody, I'm feeling furious. And it feels good to name it. Or confused. I'm really, in this situation, I'm feeling confused. It can be a really good start. We feel it in our bodies, we name it. We're going into that, giving it space and time and attention. And that allows us to gain some energy that we were using to keep it at bay. I'm not feeling angry. I'm not feeling overwhelmed. I can do this. If we can just say, okay, I'm feeling this, recognize and allow it, and investigate where is it in the body, we stop using that energy that we were using to resist it, and that becomes available for us to move into the next question, which is these feelings, what are they pointing to? What needs? This is something that's key to nonviolent communication, which I love. I'm feeling this because I'm needing that. And it's so often I'm or another person is needing to matter. or it might be that you're needing to be heard. And it's very often that you might be needing safety, or it could be needing acknowledgement. So here's a list of words, and we share these lists at the beginning of the session, and you can find them by Googling nonviolent communication, universal human needs. How do you get your needs met? So needs are different to strategies, and we use strategies to meet our needs. How do I meet my need to be heard? How do I meet my need for celebration or belonging? When I ask myself those questions, I think I've got lots of options. So thinking about needs opens up possibilities, whereas blaming and judging closes them down. Blaming and judging myself, I am so stupid for doing this. Or I didn't understand, I messed up, and I'm a failure. That could be a story that I'm telling myself. But I was telling myself about something, a big thing, and somebody said to me, were you feeling overwhelmed and needing support? I could say the same thing about the same situation, say a different thing about the same situation. That situation really changes. So I messed up and I'm a failure, or I'm overwhelmed and I need support. And you see how different they are, different stories, different ways of framing something. So we can move from I'm feeling whatever because somebody did this. So that gives a lot of power to the other person. It's a kind of a powerless place to be. I'm feeling this because you did that, because he did that, she did that. To I'm feeling this because I'm needing acknowledgement. I'm needing someone to be with me and feeling lonely. I'm needing some space. I'm feeling this because I'm needing that. So more feelings words. This is a practice. Exploring giving names to our feelings. And it's great to say sometimes I can't name it, but I've got this really tense, my jaw's tense and my shoulders are tense and I'm feeling really shaky. That can be good to help people communicate. But what we do habitually in the world is not this. We don't feel into our feelings. We don't talk about our needs. We do judging and blaming. And have you had this experience? So you're struggling with something and you go to somebody for some support and they go, that's nothing. This is what happened to me. Or they get into the questioning, but why did you do that? And when did it happen? And how long did you do it for? Or they go, that person is such an idiot. What you should have said is, or they might just tell you, don't worry about it, get over it. And your nervous system, if you're upset, is on edge. You're seeking support, you're seeking accompaniment, to be seen, to soothe yourself. And none of these responses will do that. We remain in that active state. And we're conditioned to do this by the institutions and the norms that our society runs on. A domination culture where scarcity and separation and competition are baked in. And by doing this practice, we can shift into another way. Humans haven't always worked in this scarcity competition mindset, and we don't have to. There's another list because it's fun. People want to gather data, advise, belittle, maybe moralize. Blame. Something horrible has happened. I'm in pain. I've gone to seek some support from somebody else, but they just tell me, you shouldn't have done that. I'm not moving through my feelings. It's not helping me to figure out what to do next. Honor my feelings, connect with my needs, and take a step in the right direction. Some more human needs. I had a really tricky situation a few years ago, and I went to my partner, and his response was to sit very close to me. And that was nice, but it didn't soothe me. And I tried calling my mum, and she was really annoyed with the person that I was talking about. And I tried a few different people, talking to them about what was bothering me, and I still felt really insecure, really inadequate, really sad, until I called a friend. And she just made cooing and mooing noises in a way that just touched the pain, and the tears flowed, and I was able to recognize what I was feeling, allow it, move through it, and then get in touch with my needs. What did I really need? What I needed in that situation was acknowledgement that the situation was painful, and I think confidence. I needed to remember I'm capable and I can do this. And after having been accompanied and go through that whole process, I felt, yeah, I know what to do. I can take the next step. And this empathic listening practice that we do at the listening hour allows us to know from our own experience, without being given advice, what the next step is going to be. It might be a small next step, but it's ours and it's completely appropriate to our context. Naming a need goes some way to meeting it. So, been struggling with sleep this week, and somebody asking me, wow, are you really needing some rest? It's like, actually, I can just go, yeah, that helps. It's good to have that acknowledged. So during the listening hour, we'll do a demo, and just to get a sense of listening to the other person for their feelings and needs. So maybe you can guess with me what my feelings and needs were in this situation. This morning I was driving and I scraped along the side of a van, heard a really loud noise, got out, stopped, talked to the van driver, and I was concerned about him. I was quite worried, and he and I looked at his van and our car, and then we noticed that there was absolutely no damage to either of them, just a little bit of paint that came off when we rubbed it. So I had a need for clarity, and then my need for shared reality was met, and I really calmed down. We said goodbye to each other, and we were both confident that we were okay. So that's the kind of thing. But you have a formula for this. Sorry, Alfie's getting on my lap. So this is the 3 different ways that you can listen in your breakout group, which is going to last for 30 minutes. And it'll be 3 people in the group, and you have 10 minutes each. Listening silently, just being with the other person, listening, you cannot underestimate the power of that, your presence. Reflective listening, that's saying a few of the things that you heard the other person say. That can be incredibly helpful. I just heard you say you've had enough, you're tired, and you've had enough. It can be really great to hear somebody else say what you've just said. And the empathic in this means guessing for feelings and needs. And I find that in the sessions, what is wonderful is that everybody is a good listener. Everyone's worried about, have I heard this correctly? Am I reflecting this correctly? And then everybody does really say something that they've heard, made some guesses. And I think it's almost as beneficial to be there for other people and guess feelings and needs and reflect back what we hear as it is to be heard. I almost think that they are equally soothing and connecting. This is the structure for the breakout rooms. You have 3 people and each person has a role. Person A is the speaker, person B is the listener, and person C is the silent witness. And you'll get broadcast messages telling you exactly what to do every step of the way. And the speaker speaks for 4 minutes. It can be good to talk about something that's happened recently, in the last 7 days, perhaps, nothing that's totally overwhelming at this point. And the listener reflects back for up to a minute. There's really a short time because it's really all about the speaker, but the listener gets to say what they heard a little bit. If you are talking a long time, then you're adding something, and that's not really reflective listening. So just 1 minute of what you heard and maybe guesses about what the person's feeling and needing. And then another 4 minutes, another 1 minute reflection. And then it's time to move on, swap roles until everybody's had a turn in each of the roles. And that's the structure. And that lasts for the last half an hour of the listening hour. As I said, this comes from nonviolent communication, and I highly recommend that you do some nonviolent communication training. It's very empowering. One of my students said that it's a legacy that having done that training, she feels that she's passing something beneficial on to her kids. My favorite trainers there are many from NVC UK, and there are many from Centre for Nonviolent Communication. So two good websites to look for. Here's Roxy Manning and Kerry Buckmaster. Then at the end of the session, we check out and we say goodbye, and people share their needs that have been met. And it's amazing for me. It's a kind of altered state to be with a group of people who've been heard and heard each other and whose needs have been met. People say that their need for trust, for connection, for belonging, and mine really are met by running these sessions, because as a home educator, that's what I long for. I will long for community, to be able to be honest about my difficult experiences and know that I'm accompanied and I make sense with other people. So you're so welcome to come, and I really hope to see you at a session.